What's up, guys? It's time for another episode of In the Zone. It's episode 313. Crazy that we've done this many episodes. Mind you, primarily it's been Chris and Aulino. I have been the addition as of late. But man, oh man, what a week it has been. The All-Star game has come and gone. We had the dunk contest, the skills competition, NBA USA versus the world. It was an interesting experiment. Good reviews. Everyone seemed like they enjoyed themselves. We had quarterfinal Olympics today. And boy, oh boy, talk about a nerve-wracking day for Team Canada and for Finland and as well for Sweden and the US because the games today, those three games, were something to be had and something to be enjoyed. Regardless if you're on the winning or losing team, I think that's what Best on Best is all about. And I think we got a really good idea of what that looks like today. Not even like going into the semifinals and then the finals. Um, Aulino, Chris, we got quite the slate today. We're going to talk about the Olympics. We're going to talk about the NBA All-Star Game. And boy, oh boy, where to begin? I mean, I don't know how much of the NBA All-Star Game festivities you guys did see. I know Chris primarily, the two of us, we watched a bit of the dunk contest and some of the highlights from the All-Star games. Aulino, what were your thoughts on it? And Chris, I'll ask the same once Alino's done. What were your thoughts? And did it meet our expectations or did it exceed our expectations?
I think it's in the middle. Like it didn't exceed it, but it kind of surpassed what I expected. The dunk contest was rough. I really thought there was a life-threatening injury there, head first off the ground. Felt so bad for him missing a dunk like that in the dunk contest when everyone's watching. But yeah, going on to like the winner, I don't think that should have won. That's not a 50 dunk to win a dunk contest on. Uh, they need to figure that out going in the future. But the All-Star game, I actually was surprised. It was much better than the skills competition. Usually it's the other way around. So they have something here. It's just they have to fine tune it. And maybe next year they do like a traditional game of World versus Team USA, or they want to go this route, make it like a 20-minute game instead of a 12-minute game.
Chris, where do you land with the All-Star game? Similar vein as what Alino mentioned, or do you have different thoughts?
I thought it was good. I think there were a couple big names that were not in the game. I think it would have made it a lot better. Jokic, Doncic, Gilgis, and Giannis were all out, I think. And, I got to give Scotty Barnes credit. He got that game winner early on. Anthony Edwards looked pretty good in this tournament, but the talk of the town in this game was Kawhi Leonard, man. The guy, you just don't know what you're going to get emotionally from him. You don't know if he's going to be invested. You don't know if he's going to just drop a dud. And in this game, I mean, he dropped 31 points in the one game. And then in the final, it was a blowout, but he was still the best player in the final. I thought the older team was kind of, if it wasn't for Kawhi, like none of them really played well. I thought LeBron was just out there for shits and gigs. Same with Kevin Durant. But the one thing that I really liked about this game specifically was that the young guys, I think, tried the hardest, where this is a league where the young guys have to make a name for themselves and they have to set the standard. And I think Wembanyama, getting upset in the first game, you saw how competitive he was. Because, like you saw Towns, he was laughing and Wemby was pissed. I think Edwards, Cade, Brunson, like all those guys tried really hard. So like Aulino mentioned, if they can, keep this setup, add a couple more minutes and have the same intensity, then dude, just scrap out. Like if you can scrap the dunk contest and just add on minutes to this game, do it. Because if you're not getting Ja Morant, if you're not getting Zion, if you're not getting the main guys in the dunk contest, like fuck, who the fuck are these guys dunking? I've never heard of these guys. Like they're not even in the NBA. Like what are we doing here?
Yeah, no, needless to say, the dunk contest was pretty lackluster. I think, you know, a lot of people will forever be nostalgia about the dunks of yesteryear, whether it's the Vince Carters, the Aaron Gordons, the Zach Levines, obviously Michael Jordan, Blake Griffin, like all the guys that have stolen the show over the years and set the standard. It's a shame that everyone and their grandmother, whether you're an analyst, an NBA fan, is more or less at the same point where it's like, what are we doing? We can't seem to make this entertaining. It's at the point where it seems like every year it feels like the dunk contest is dead on arrival, and I hate the idea of them scrapping it. But yeah, it seems like we're at that point, and the real shame of it is that there's so many, like, you see dunks all the time on Instagram from whether they're not NBA players, but they're professional dunkers, and they do these amazing dunks that you're like, how the fuck did you do that? Why can't we get somebody in the NBA to try that? And it's like, nope, no one wants to do it. No one cares enough. We don't make enough money. It's like, you guys are making like $50 to $60 million a year. How aren't you making enough money? So I do agree with you guys with the sentiments on the dunk contest. I will say the NBA games, watching the older team, it kind of it for me it was more of like not a farewell kind of thing, but you could see that they're trying to prepare themselves for these guys kind of being at the end of the road within their careers and how they're towards the end. I think what they should just do is do like an NBA first team, like a first all NBA team, and whether that's like all the old guys or the young guys, like you mix those two teams together and then you just make them play Team World in a traditional game. And I think that would make everybody happy because the mini games were fun and interesting, but like at the end of the day, just make it one traditional game, and everyone I think at that point would be happy if it was Europe versus Team USA. And because like I get what they wanted to do in terms of like make the fans feel like they're getting more for their dollar by like you get to watch three basketball games for like all-star games. But at the end of the day, it's like it didn't fall flat on its face, but I don't think it was the best that it could have been. So like I'm going to give it a letter grade, and then I'm going to let you guys give it a letter grade as well. I'm going to give it like around I'm going to be a little generous. I'm going to give it a B just because I think all things considered, it could have been better. And I want to give them the credit of at least embracing this change or this new idea. So I'm going to give them a B. Aulino?
I'll go B minus just because it could have been a little bit better, but there's room for improvement. So I'll go B minus, and next year, hopefully we'll be at that B grade.
Chris?
Yeah, I'll go B as well, just because I really like the intensity in moments. There were moments where people were not taking it seriously, but at the end of the day, I think we're in a good spot with the guys that are coming up. I think they're going to be a lot more serious. Yeah, I'll give it a B. I do think, though, there's a lot of work to do. Just like I mentioned, just make it one game, make it longer, and you're good.
I thought it was interesting seeing Scotty Barnes hit that game winner against Team World, that buzzer beater. I was like, man, as a Raptor fan, it'd be nice to see him hit more of those kinds of shots. But, I mean, the NBA is in a pretty good place. I think they just got to iron out some of the real finer things and the nitty-gritty, and then hopefully the players will buy in, because I think we can all agree the up-and-coming product is something to be very excited about. I just think there needs to be a couple things to change, whether that's rules, style of play, or something. And then I think the NBA will truly be back, because like Chris alluded to, Wemby getting upset, and even you, Aulino, with the fact that a guy like Kawhi showed up, but if it wasn't for him, they probably would have lost. So it's like interesting to see the power dynamics of the new guys coming in versus the current guys. So I'm excited, but fingers crossed that it's only up from here in terms of what we can expect for All-Star Weekend. But now moving on, we're going to talk about a lot of hockey. Boy, oh boy, the Olympics this week has been something. I mean, congratulations to the teams that succeeded in their elimination games, but also congratulations to the teams that had the opportunity to prove to the world that the gap internationally on the world stage of hockey continues to get smaller and smaller with this competition. I think Italy proved a lot of people wrong in terms of what their abilities may or may not be, although they did get shelled against Finland. Even like, the teams like Switzerland, Denmark played relatively well. Germany, albeit they lost today pretty badly. There were some really good stories leading into, from the prelims to the elimination round. And before we talk about the games today, what are your guys' overall thoughts of like the prelims, and who were some of the players or at least some of the teams that really stood out to you guys from the prelims?
Yeah, I like Switzerland. The way they've been playing, I was surprised that I know every tournament they're kind of defensive. They have that system. They might pull up an upset, but the way they played, I think they should be happy going into the World Championships and keep building there. Unfortunately, with Fiala's injury and that other game, he's going to be out and for the rest of the year. So if you're the LA Kings, you're probably upset right now. You get Panarin, and that kind of helps you, but that's a big blow. So I'll say Switzerland and Czechia for sure really surprised me here.
Chris?
Yeah, I might have to agree with those teams. I really was surprised with how great Czechia was. You know what? Instead of Czechia, I'll actually say Slovakia. I think I never knew that Slavkovsky had this next gear to him, and it looks like he's kind of taken it. He's got 10 goals in 11 games, which is nuts. And Dvorsky, the young prospect for the Blues, has had a really good tournament too. And, I don't think they beat Sweden, but they got that extra goal to win the group. And that was absolutely huge. And now here they are after today, absolutely stomping Germany and going into the game, by the way, as an underdog. So a lot of people, including the bookies, that continue to sleep on Slovakia. And I just think this is a team where, kind of like Czech, kind of like Switzerland, they'll kind of lull you to bed. They'll play defensive, but when they get that counterattack, it might be going in. So I was really, really surprised with Slovakia. And yeah, you know what, man, if Fiala didn't go down, they're probably winning that game today against Finland.
Yeah, no, definitely unfortunate. And it sucks whenever players get hurt ever. But, Kevin Fiala getting hurt like that, it pre-tournament, I remember talking about how much of a privilege this is to have the NHLers go back, because owners were so worried about guys getting hurt. And everyone always references John Tavares breaking his leg in Sochi. And, that was one of the reasons where we had to have them, okay, they were able to go to 2018 after that. But then, no, after 2014, that was it. And then, we had to wait. So it sucks that his injury really like dampened Switzerland's efforts, although they almost did eliminate Finland today in a very close game. They were on the front foot the whole time, Switzerland, and I was surprised. But one of my good stories in terms of, I'm going to go with a player. I'm going to go with Italy. I'm going to go with Damian Clara, their goalie. The Anaheim Ducks continue to surprise people with where they find these goalies, international goalies. In the past, you got Jonas Hiller, they had Freddie Anderson, they had now Damian Clara, Dostal. Like, these guys aren't coming from major goalie factories like Finland, Sweden, or what Canada used to be, or even the US as of late. So I'm going to give him a shout out. I thought, he got shelled most games, but he held his own. He really played well, and I think he proved, I think, not just to the NHL or the AHL, just to the hockey world alone, that he's no slouch, and goalies from anywhere can be really good. And I want to say they kind of overachieved, albeit that 11-0 loss to Finland. I thought Italy looked really good. And I hope they can build on this, because whether it's Italian Canadians or Italian Americans that want to represent their heritage on the international stage. There's plenty of them that would love that opportunity if they can't make Canada or any other nation they're a part of. And I think it would make Italy a real force in international hockey. But that's who I'm picking. The other one I'll pick in terms of a team, I'm gonna go. You know what? I'll say Canada only because today was the day where they really had to face some adversity, and they rose to the occasion. Although it was a little ugly, and they still got it done. So those are my two. But now it's time to talk about this quarterfinal of a day because there was a lot of hockey today. And it was a lot of good hockey. Maybe minus the Slovakia game in the morning, but oh my God, the three other games, like, I'm just going to lead it off with that. Like, Aulino, what were your thoughts on the games today? You can go through them one by one, and then Chris, you're going to follow, and then I'll just add some remarks and if I agree or not. So, Aulino, the floor is yours. What's your overall take from what was this quarterfinal day in the men's hockey at Milano Cortina?
Yeah, so that first one I didn't see. I thought they all started at the same time. Like I thought Canada's was at 10:40, and I thought the Slovakia one was at the same time, like they did with the other one. So that one I totally missed. So I'm sure it wasn't the greatest of games because of the time they put it at. But Canada's game, big game, Mitch. I told you guys a couple of weeks ago. Big game, Mitch. He's gonna come in. He's gonna score a big goal, and today he did that. A lot of haters online saying, the Leafs missed out here, but everyone's looking at the positive. It's Mitch Marner finally gets his moment. I saw some tweets here that I'll pull up because a lot of people are creative online. We had this one that I was showing you before. Shout out to Cam Moore. Thomas Harley watching Mitch Marner win an OT after Harley fired a meatball sub with extra marinara right into someone's shin pad. So that one was good. Then we got Ariel Helwani, who's an MMA guy. He's working for CBC right now. Leaf fans, don't you dare boo that man again.
Love Ariel. Love Ariel Helwani. Love that guy.
And, the final one here, I got to get a reaction here from his teammate, Mark Stone. As a teammate, haven't experienced that. Four Nation gets a huge OT goal for us, makes an incredible play for the winner. Then tonight, when we need him most, he makes a play. I think it's a Toronto thing. So, we're getting roasted there by Mark Stone. But Mitch Marner, what can you say? Big game Mitch. It's his new nickname, and I think he's going to will this team on to a gold medal.
What can we say? I think it comes down to what you alluded to and what a lot of people online, and whether they're Leaf fans or they're Canada fans, it's the silver lining or the glass half full approach of like, this is what we were asking and begging or complaining about, where it's like in all those game sevens, where were you? And everyone says it, when you're a Leaf, you're this, but then when you're anything but a Leaf, you're something else. And I'm glad that he had his moment. We won the game because we can continue to pursue that gold medal that we all want. But it's it's just one of those things where it's like just another thing as a Leaf fan that you have to swallow, kind of. Chris, what are your thoughts on the whole Marner thing?
I was, I was stunned out of all guys that it would be him. I didn't think it would be Mitch, to be honest, Aulino. I thought it would be like a Brandon Hagel, a Bo Horvat. You know what? Probably Brad Marchand, because he scores clutch goal after clutch goal. But Mitch just goes right through the neutral zone, goes through three check guys, and then just goes top corner backhand. Like that was just... I died when I was laughing so hard. I was like, it would be him. Good for him, man. Finally. But for me, that game today was a wake-up call for Canada. I think the bottom six forwards were just not good enough from start to finish. I'm trying to be as like again, it's all about being positive. They did get the win, but like if it wasn't for Binnington making that big save against Marty Nikas, I don't know if they're winning the game. Like they were hemmed in the zone late in the third. They were hemmed in the zone late in the first. There was a theme all game where if it wasn't for the big three, Macklin, McKinnon, or McDavid, you're really not getting much. McCarr didn't look like himself today, kind of looked a little fatigued. I thought Drew Doughty had a hell of a game. You know what? I saw the hit against Pasternak. That was amazing. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's very positive because we did see some adversity today, and the guy that you least expected to bury it buried it. So hopefully this gives Marner some momentum, gives him some confidence. Even Nick Suzuki, he had a bad first couple periods, and then he gets that tip in to tie the game late, and thank God he did because he had a lot of glorious chances that he missed. But I want to ask your guys' opinions on the key additions that we had late. So again, we're always talking about, Scheifele, Tavares, and Bedard. Those were like the three that we talked about pretty heavily here. They added Wilson and Jarvis. Now, I don't believe that these guys have been a good fit, and I don't think they've played relatively well. In games like today, I think you need a Bedard. I think you need a Hyman. I think you need a Scheifele, a guy that can go in there, go in the dirty areas, make a play. Whereas today, guys like Jarvis, Wilson, just they didn't really have anything going. What are your guys' thoughts on how Jarvis and Wilson have been in this tournament?
Aulino, you can go first.
Yeah, Jarvis is he's been in and out of the lineup. Like Wilson's had the prominent role, so with him, it's like you're judging him on the France game and what happened there. He stuck up for his teammate. We actually saw an Olympic fight, no suspension, thankfully, but
which is crazy.
It is actually I was actually surprised about that. So if he's not there, you have Bennett that can slide in, but it's also like a similar type of style. You're going to be aggressive. So I do agree that missing Bedard, especially when Crosby went down, then you're relying all on McKinnon, who's kind of injured when he went down in the other game, and McDavid can only do so much. So I think this is where you would have liked to have a Bedard come up and be that playmaker and be that other guy that can score. But yeah, Marner even makes him go to different lines because he's with Crosby. So it kind of, for Cooper, it made things difficult, I think.
Yeah, I think, Tom Wilson, I think, might be getting a little too much flack in terms of like him not, in this format, he's not truly allowed to play the kind of game he normally brings night in and night out for the Washington Capitals, which any team would love to have him do that night in and night out in the NHL, without a doubt. I think the thing for him today, which was tougher, was that the Czechs were really trying to goad him into penalties and get him into trouble. And, I thought he did well today, to keep his cool, still be physical, but like not, cross the line and get stupid penalties, because I think a great example, which kind of screwed the Czechs, was Racco Gudis's penalty on, I think it was Hagel or Seth Jarvis, where he more or less gave him that forearm to the back of the head. And then, we were able to get that power play goal. But, the tough thing, I agree, missing a Connor Bedard, a John Tavares, Johnston, Scheifele, it's a long list of guys that we would love to see in the event we have a game like we did today, where the meat and potatoes of the lineup really didn't. It's not that they didn't show up. It's just they didn't provide that scoring presence or prominence that we're so used to seeing. And I think one of the big narratives today would be, if we ended up losing this game, everyone and their mother would lose their shit on John Cooper, because you have the back-to-back Stanley Cup winner and Conn Smythe winner sitting in the press box instead of playing today. And, you had Brad Marchand in the lineup, who looked really slow and really out. Like, he didn't look like he was in the play enough or doing enough. And the same with Seth Jarvis. It's really hard to poke and pry at this lineup and be upset about things, because we're so spoiled with the depth that we've had and we continue to have. But it's like, guys, you needed Sam Bennett in this game today. Like, I think moving forward, Brad Marchand's had some great moments playing for Canada in his career. But I think thanks, but no thanks, buddy. Like, if you're not playing with Sid or if you're not playing with McKinnon and you're not able to provide, Sam Bennett's getting the job. I'm sorry. Like, because we could have used him today in certain moments. But
I'm glad you talk about Marchand, because I think if we played Sweden in the next game, I don't think you play Marchand.
No.
But now that we're playing a more gritty Finnish team, you might have to keep. Honestly, you could call me crazy here. I think you might have to take Jarvis out and you put Bennett in and you keep Marchand in. And yeah, that's not a sexy lineup at all, but Finland's a team where they'll go full tilt till the final whistle. So if it was Sweden, it's a little bit of a softer team. Maybe you take Marchand out, but now don't think that's happening.
Well, here's one thing that bothered me today with the lineup and how Cooper kind of changed a few things around. It was the placement of Nick Suzuki being on that third line instead of playing with McKinnon, because it wasn't the France game, it was the other game that they played, the game before that. The chemistry that line had, I think it was Suzuki, McKinnon, and Hagel. I think that was the line. They were really moving the puck. They were gaining the neutral zone, and they were really making it tough on teams. And then, to see him make that change today, I get it, Sid getting hurt, unfortunately, you kind of want to stack your lines, because why not scare the living shit out of any team you're going to play by throwing the youngest Olympian to play in for Team Canada and Macklin Celebrini with the fastest guy in the NHL and the best player in the NHL, Connor McDavid, and then the scariest motherfucking guy besides Connor McDavid that anyone can think of in the NHL, which is Nathan McKinnon on the same line. Like, I get that, but
they did that a few times today. That was funny.
And
the MVP line,
it
trophy race.
It
literally.
is. But it's one of those things where I think a lot of people that are more familiar with like Tampa's success over the last few years, or just the way John Cooper coaches, he's very much all gas and no brakes, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But in a tournament like this, it can be a bad thing, because you start to see, like, there was a point there today where, I don't know if you guys picked up on it, where we looked tired, we looked a little beat up, and we looked kind of slow, especially in our own end, and even at certain times trying to create opportunities in the offensive zone. And it's a little worrying, because obviously the competition is only going to get tougher as we get further in this tournament. But what are your guys' thoughts on the whole all gas, no brakes kind of thought process of John Cooper, and how we kind of are starting to look? And am I crazy for thinking we looked a little tired and sore today?
Yeah, I think it showed, especially with McKinnon. I thought, like, he looked like clearly he wasn't as fast as he was in the other games, so maybe that nagging injury he picked up in that game, it carried over. But I think by the next game he should be fine. With Crosby, you don't know what's going to go on with him, whether he will miss that game, but the luxury they do have is pretty much almost all the guys on the team are centers. So you could put Horvat in the middle, you could put Celebrini in the middle. You can even make a line with like Bennett and Marchand, have Bennett as a center, and just have Wilson on the right wing, just go nuts. So I think he'll probably try to do that, like the all gas, no brakes type of thing. I think we're going to see a line against Finland who's more grittier. We'll probably see that at some point during the game.
Chris?
Yeah, I agree. I do believe that there's going to be a big change for this Finland game, and I do think Jarvis goes out. I think Jarvis, I mean, like, listen, like, Jarvis is a great player. It's just what we've seen from him. You're playing 9 minutes. You're not getting any momentum in the game. Like, it doesn't matter where he is in the game. Like, you could just tell the on ice situations he's a part of are just nothing. It's just a bunch of nothing. So Jarvis is a type of player where, yeah, he could definitely open up the floodgates in a game. We've seen during the season, he's one of the better clutch. He's actually one of the best clutch scorers in the league this year for Carolina. But Like we know John Cooper has his types. He loves his Brandon Hagel. He loves his Sam Reinhart. He loves those guys. He can plug them up there. Honestly, you guys can call me crazy. I was telling Nick earlier, I'm taking Sam Reinhart off the top power play. He just hasn't done enough. You put Mitch Marner there now. Mitch Marner, you could put him at the point. You put Celebrini down low and go crazy. It's probably going to be McDavid, Celebrini, McKinnon, Marner, and Makar. It's a lot of M's, but that's what it's gonna be. We're gonna call it the all M power play. But for me, the X factor has been Celebrini, guys. The 19-year-old is a phenom. He's got 10 points. He's like, it comes so easy to him. You would think with how bright the lights are, maybe he would crumble, maybe he'd make a mistake. But man, he has been arguably the second best player on our team. And it's crazy to think, but it seems like he's getting better as the tournament's going on, guys. 6 points in the last 2 games. It's just, what can't this guy do?
I mean, Macklin's been absolutely automatic. It's going to sound silly saying this, but like, you can't just put anybody with Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon or Sidney Crosby, and they're going to excel this much.
At 19.
Like at 19 years old, like, sure, you could, okay, yeah, the Zach Hymans, the Chris Kunitzes, the Rickard Rakels, the Gensels, there's a long list of players that have played with a lot of great or the greats that have become really good or great. But seeing this kid at 19 years of age excelling the way he is in the moments when we need him to, it's phenomenal. It's terrifying as well because, man.
This was Cosentino when we brought Celebrini. They're like, do you think he's going to be a big part of this team? And he said, I don't know. Like, he's 19, he's a kid. And I think now we know how important Celebrini is to this team.
Well, I mean, it's imperative that we have him because, like, look, we're spoiled with the amount of great players we have, but certain guys haven't scored at the rate we would maybe expected them to score in this tournament. And having him be the one that's carrying that load is remarkable because it also takes a lot of pressure off of some of these guys, whether it's, Nathan McKinnon having to score a big goal every game, even though he more or less has, he can kind of ease into his game and play some of the other aspects of his game a little bit better. Or even Connor. Like, how often every night does Connor have to throw on his jersey and carry whatever team he's playing for to victory? Sure, he was
almost
ready
every night.
Yeah. And he was ready to do that tonight if nobody was able to step up in overtime. But it's a nice luxury to have that. We got like I think we can comfortably say one of the top 8 best players in the league at 19 years old is Canadian, and he's doing record numbers as a 19-year-old in the Olympics for Canada. Like, it's unbelievable.
Like, I know the scoring was down. But like Aulino, the record is 15 all-time points. McDavid has 12 in a tournament. Like, it's Celebrini and McDavid are going to blow this record out of the water. They're going to blow it out of the water. And I feel bad for Sid. I feel so bad for him because he's probably going to finish like 5th all-time now. But you know what? The great thing about Canada is, listen, McKinnon, yeah, he got the second goal. Probably his worst game of the tournament. Makar's probably his worst game of the tournament. And Crosby went down with an injury, and yet we still won. So if you can imagine what this team is doing full tilt, I know there's a lot of influencers and analysts out there that think that the States are right there. But guys, if this Canada team is healthy, there's no shot. Not at all.
Well, speaking of some of the other teams, speaking about the U.S., we're going to talk about that game last because it was the last game of the day. But, talking about Canada's next opponent, Finland, and that Switzerland game, at one point, Aulino, we were talking in our group chat. It looked like Finland was going to get ready to pack their bags and head back home, and the Swiss were going to be able to enjoy some Swiss chocolate and some tea or coffee in Italy as they await their next opponent.
Their neighbor, yeah.
I can't believe it. Like I said at the top of the show, we had 3 games going to overtime, and they were late. All games that went to the very end of regulation until they were tied, and we got some overtime and late game heroics. What are your guys' thoughts on that Finland game? And is Finland now hopefully gonna? I mean, I hope they don't find their stride, but they seem like they struggled most of the tournament to get going at a full clip, and then they played Italy. They beat the crap out of them at 11-0, and then they almost lost to Switzerland if it wasn't for some late game heroics. So, where do we go from here with this Finland team, guys?
Yeah, Finland, I would still be worried about just because they have Rantanen, and he's shown in the playoffs last year against his old team in Colorado, he can just take over a game. So I would have to look at Canada's team, and they got to stop Rantanen. And then Aho, if he gets hot, you got to watch out with him. But I think Rantanen's the focal point of Finland, whether they're going to go on or not. So what we saw today was adversity. I really thought they were going to lose. I thought we were going to have a big upset because Finland shouldn't have lost that game. They came back with like 2 minutes left. So they are capable also. If Canada's up 2-3-0, they got to watch out. The lead's not safe. So I think this is going to be one where it's going to be very defensive heavy if they're going to get through to the final.
Chris?
Yeah, I agree. I think Rantanen is the guy you have to watch in this game. And also, I think early on, you got to get Heiskanen off his game too. He's been logging like 30 minutes a game. Like, it's nuts. So if you can just pepper him with hits like Wilson, McKinnon, we've seen McDavid even hitting. I think, these are moments where we have to take advantage of Finland. And Aho has not been that good in this tournament, neither as Rupe hints. I think they can have a better game here. But he got the tying goal and the game-winning goal. Lehkonen, too, in his career has been a guy that can definitely clutch up and get you some goals. Like, we remember what we saw in the bubble when he got the game winner for Montreal against Vegas in overtime. Yeah. Like, he's got a lot of big goals under his belt. So all we got to do for Canada is you stay composed, you stay out of the box, you don't give the big boys any power play opportunities. And let's be real here. I mean, realistically, Saros is better than Binnington, but in this tournament, and again, he's been wearing this Canada jersey. I don't know what he turns into, but Binnington has been phenomenal the whole tournament. So if we can get a pretty good performance from Binnington, you get on Heiskanen's nerves early. I like Canada's chances, but again, if Finland had Barkov and Lundell down the middle, like, this is a completely different game.
Oh yeah, probably be a final, like gold medal. Probably thought them in the States, it would probably be like second place. I think like the States would be where they were.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, and that was the one thing I kind of noticed with watching, whether it was the highlights or seeing some of the other games that Finland has played throughout this Olympics, is that without Alexander Barkov, they're a very different team, and it shows. And it's kind of scary because, it goes to show you how much of a role that guy plays, whether it's in the locker room, on the ice. He is truly a special player, and he is definitely missed over there, although they are getting the results a little uglier than they would like. But, man, there was a point watching that game where I was on the edge of my seat and I was a little bit relieved because, Canada won in overtime and I was a little relieved in that regard. But I was on the edge of my seat thinking to myself that Finland was about to get out-goalied, something that they're normally on the other end doing to other teams, and they were able to pull it out late and get the job done. Man, what a game that was. But I think if Canada is able to play their physical game that they like to play, and stay out of the box and really get pucks to the net, I think they'll be pretty successful against this Finland team.
Yeah, I think if they score early, you get Saros off his game. I think that's definitely going to bolster well for Canada.
I think the one thing too that Canada needs to be aware of, and they probably are, because who are we kidding? They have like some of the best scouts, coaches in the world, is how fast this Finland team is. And it's something that they need to be aware of, whether it's on, fast breaks and then off of the neutral zone, turnovers, because we got lucky today with the amount of point shots that were blocked by the Czechs that gave them really good odd man rush opportunities. And, thankfully Binnington plays the way he does when he plays for Canada, because if we had somebody else in net, I think they might have put up a 5-piece on Canada today, if I'm being honest. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a tougher matchup compared to the Czechs, even though the last few years, the Czechs always seem to match up really well against Canada, whether it's the World Juniors, World Championships, or as we're seeing now with the Olympics. It's like they have a similar, I don't want to say a similar style, but they're able to match how physical we like to play, and they're still able, to play quick and make those plays and score the goals. But Friday's going to be a good day for hockey. I mean, fuck. You got two men's semifinals, and for all the marbles, I mean, it's a great time to be a hockey fan.
I would have loved to have seen Czech versus Finland. That would have been a very close game. That would have been a good game.
Well, I think a lot of people weren't expecting Slovakia to have the tournament that they did, which kind of threw like the whole rankings out the window, because even Sweden didn't have a really good tournament either.
Sweden lost to Finland 4-1. I was shocked when that happened.
Yeah.
And we'll talk
like 7 seed over there too. So they didn't even finish at the top. They almost screwed up everything but the states. Like states and Sweden in the first one, like that's crazy.
That game today was nuts. That was a great game. That was just absolute. I knew it was going to be an under, because so many people I saw on Twitter just taking goal totals just everywhere for both teams. And it's like, nah, this is going to be a Jakob Markstrom masterclass. And that's exactly what it was. I felt bad for him. He played amazing. I thought Willie had that moment in overtime, but Quinn Hughes locked him down. Guys, let's talk about Quinn Hughes for a second. Like, if Quinn Hughes is not on this team, I don't think the States finished first group and
you cut out there, Chris. You cut out.
Got him back. You might have to come to your room, Nick.
Hold on. Your mic cut out.
Yep. Okay. Look at that. Oh, now Chris left. I think Chris is gonna join back. He was making a great point too about Finland.
He was making a great point. Man, that sucks. Got a little bit of technical difficulties, but once he gets back and his mic gets working, we'll have him. Hopefully, he can remember what he was saying. You back?
No, I was getting a phone call from Laval, Ontario, or wherever the fuck. So you know what? Fuck those people. They just ruined everything. But
one of the scammers.
I was asking you guys, what do you think if it is Canada and the States in the finals? What do you think Canada has to do to shut down a guy like Quinn Hughes?
That's tough.
It's a loaded question. I think
safe to say he's their best player, right?
Yeah, importance, I would say, most important.
I mean, if it's not Quinn, it comes down to Connor Hellebuck at the end of the day, because if he doesn't show up, they're going to get lit up, because if he doesn't stop the puck against a team like Canada or whoever it is, whether it's in the semifinal or in the final, they'll probably lose, because although they've been able to score at an interesting rate this tournament, they haven't blown teams out, but they have scored a ton of goals. I think today was a really good inclination as to what people can expect from them in the next two games. And they kind of took their foot off the gas with the 1-0 lead and allowed Sweden to kind of press their way back into the game and force it to overtime. And then, they got fortunate. I truly think they got fortunate with the 3-on-3 format to allow them to have the kind of skaters that they do have, take over that kind of format and win them the game. Because if it's 5-on-5, it's a complete different animal.
Yeah.
But I think if you are going to stop Quinn Hughes, you have to make him play a game he doesn't want to play, and that's an overly physical game. So that would be like sicking your Tom Wilsons on him, your Sam Bennett's, your Brad Marchands. You're throwing everything but the kitchen sink at him because you're saving the kitchen sink to throw it at Connor Hellebuck or at Austin Matthews or at whoever else you're trying to take care of and minimize their game so that you can be successful. So that's what I think you'll have to do. At the end of the day, they got so much depth like Canada that it's going to be hard to truly minimize a guy like him because like he showed in overtime, he was able to take it over and win them the game. So besides that, I don't know. I don't really know how you can stop a guy like that. Aulino?
Yeah, it's just your goalie has to be on point. Your defense can't let in giveaways there that would go back to their point where Quinn Hughes is going to go in, pinch up, join the rush. So I actually think Quinn Hughes has been more important than Matthews in these kind of games, just the way he's able to take over and create plays for everyone. So they got to stop Matthews, obviously, on the offensive end. Jack Eichel is going to be creating. Both Kachuk brothers are going to be throwing hits around, doing God knows what. But yeah, if you're gonna go in and worry about scoring, I would look at Quinn Hughes and try to shut him down because that's their guy on the back end that's gonna push the play. So Mitch Marner, we need big game Mitch to come back again if they're playing them in a gold medal. And I think Canada, I like their chances. They got Connor McDavid on the team.
What do you think about the matchup? Before we get into our picks, what do you think about the matchups, guys? We did talk about Canada, Finland, what we think they have to do to win. But do you think, I know it's a Cinderella run for Slovakia. Do you think this game is close or do you think the States comfortably get this one done?
Yeah, I think the States get this. Yeah, the States, I think, get this done. They should. It's going to probably be similar to some of the other games we've seen. Slovakia has been a nice story, but I just don't think they have the depth. If they played Sweden and took advantage of all the injuries they have, I think they would have had a better shot here, but I think the States should win that one comfortably.
It's hard to not see the U.S. win this game against Slovakia. I truly think the only way I could see them losing, it would be kind of similar fashion of how they almost it's not that they almost lost today, it's that they let Sweden hang around and stay in the game for a long part of the game. And that's if they take a lead like how they did today and they just kind of eased off the gas and slowly started to play. It's that old saying in soccer, if you play for a tie, you're going to ultimately end up losing. And I think they were on the other side of that today. But if there is one team you don't want to do that with, it would definitely be Sweden, Finland, or Canada. But don't sleep on the Slovaks, man. They've proved a lot of people wrong with the way they've performed this tournament. And I'm not here beating a drum saying that the U.S. are going to lose this game. But if there was a team that could possibly upset, they are the last underdog left in this tournament, true underdog. And it would be fitting for them to beat the U.S. because Slavkovsky's played amazing. Tatar's played well. And they have some of the younger guys that are just getting into the NHL that are truly making a name for themselves. But it's a true David and Goliath story. And it's hard to not see the U.S. win this game. I know I'm coming up with these scenarios, but the U.S. should beat them handily, but it remains to be seen because if I go back to my prediction that I had them not making the medal round, because they would refuse to show up or they feel like they're too good or too big for the moment. then they would lose. And quite frankly, that almost happened today. With the last 5 minutes of overtime, Sweden of the third period, Sweden were all over them. They just couldn't get the puck to go into the net until Zibanejad tied the game just before overtime. And then, they had some misfortune with Nylander's chance and Fiala hitting the post. And then, Quinn Hughes made a great play with the puck on the blue line, drew a screen, shot the puck, and he beat Markstrom, who had a really good game for Sweden. So a lot of things will have to go right for Slovakia to win, but that's a lot of things. And
yeah, I think the States got that. I think it's a lock. I think this would have been the game where they crumbled. I think if there was a game where the States did not win, I think it was this one, underestimating Sweden. They came out. Quinn Hughes saves the day here. I mean, I've loved what I've seen from Gensel and Boldy. I've always thought they belonged on this team. My surprise here is that they end up playing Trocheck and Nelson over a guy like Kyle Connor, which I know there's something, I think something was said. I think Connor said something because he went out of favor, apparently. That's the wording they used. But Kyle Connor is a very highly skilled goal scorer, and you need him in those moments. So, man, can you imagine if the States lost in overtime and you're not bringing Cole Caulfield, who leads the NHL in OT goals? Like this, that would have been just the icing on the cake. But Quinn Hughes gets it done. I think the States win by 3. I don't think it's close.
interesting. Well, I think the one thing we can take from today's quarterfinals games, going into the semifinals, is that regardless of who's winning these games on Friday, the only team that has truly closed the game out was Slovakia. They put their foot on the gas. They got up early, and then it was 6-2, and Germany knew it was over before, it was even halfway through the game, it felt like. And we'll see what happens because, like I said, regardless of who it is, whether it's the U.S., whether it's Canada, whether it's Finland, or even Slovakia, you got to close the games out in order to get to the next step. And it's going to be interesting to see because everyone kind of left the door open today for a lot of the results to go the complete opposite of what we got. So that's what happens when it comes to overtime in the Olympics. You need the guys to show up in the clutch. But now let's quickly talk about our picks. And after our picks, we can't talk about our lighting the lamp segment, unfortunately, because none of the goal scorer lines are out for Friday's games. So we appreciate you guys being patient to wait for those. We will post those tomorrow, though. We are all going to pick 2 goal scorers for the next games for Friday, and then we will post them tomorrow during the day at some point, maybe later in the day, depending on when we all get our picks in. But now we're going to talk about our picks. It was an interesting week last week. Another eventful week this week, albeit the selection's a little spottier because with the Olympics being on, NBA's just getting back, but they're not really back. And we want to give you guys time. If you want to tailor our picks or even mix and match our picks, you have the time to do so. So now we're going to talk about the picks that were and the picks that will be. Aulino, I'm going to go to you first. Talk to us about the picks that were and the picks that will be for this week.
Yeah, so the picks that were unfortunately lost those. So I don't know what happened there.
I think that makes all of us.
Yeah, they didn't do good though. Let's just put it that way. It wasn't a good one from what I can see. From what I remember, at least. Yeah, it wasn't a good one.
Let me pull them up. So you had Chelsea on the money against Burnley. You had Man City on the money against Newcastle. Como on the money against Fiorentina, and Juve on the money against Inter. Which, let's be honest, Juve got robbed of a game with some horrible officiating. But for those that were wondering what his picks were, those were his picks.
And Chelsea and Burnley, I don't even think they played. I think that might have been this week. So like the dates, the way they had them was.
Also, they fucked you on the dates. I hate when that happens with the books. That's okay.
So
that's okay. Tell us about the picks then that will be for this week.
Yeah, so because of that, had those all over the place. You can use that for this week. But if you want to add some new ones, Anthony Hernandez, Fluffy is what his nickname is in the UFC, taking on Sean Strickland in the main event. I think Anthony Hernandez wins. He has a title shot opportunity possibly coming up, so he could put himself there. Manchester City and Leeds should be a quick one for Man City, but it's not too much of a favorable matchup. So they're going to need their strikers to come in here, be strong. Chelsea, this is a big tricky one because of the Burnley one. They're so heavily unmatched in the next one, and they're like pretty much looked at as a team that's going to lose there. But it's a important one with Arsenal. I still got Chelsea winning both, and Nottingham Forest has been a nice surprise. So them over Brighton, and that's a 3,500 right there.
Wow, that's a juicy parlay. Plus 3,500. Wow. I say it every week, and I'll say it again. You can't say we're not trying to give you guys juice and value when it comes to these picks, and we don't try to provide you guys with a lottery ticket in the event that, one of you guys is a big fish and wants to throw the money down, and you're able to hit on a ticket like that, because, man, that would be crazy. Oof. Needless to say, don't sleep on some of these picks, guys. Chris, tell us about the picks that were and the picks that will be for you this week.
So I took last week was pretty good. I think I went 1, 2, and 1 is pending as well, just like Aulino. I took Tim Stützle to score last week plus 180. He got the job done. I actually got 2 in that game. I took Sidney Crosby to score against Czechia. He did not in the 5-0 win. I also took, this one pissed me off. I took the States and Latvia over 6.5. It was 5-1 final for the States. So that one didn't cash. And then I have Man City, Newcastle. They play this weekend. So that one is pending. So not the greatest week, but now I'm going in to this week's picks. The first pick that I have, it's going to be with the Genesis Invitational for the PGA. Give me Ludwig Aberg to finish in the top 30 at minus 190. Out of all the golfers I'd say the last year and a half, when you think of top finishes, Ludwig Aberg might be one of the more consistent golfers. You're talking about a guy like Rory McIlroy, who at times has missed the cut. You're talking about a guy like Morikawa, sometimes has missed the cut. All these guys have similar odds of Ludwig Aberg, and I have the most faith in Ludwig here to be a top 30 finish. So I like that at minus 190. I know it's juicy, but that's a good parlay piece. My second play, let's take Fluffy to beat to beat Sean Strickland here by decision, plus 145. I think, again, you're looking at the rounds, over 4.5 is heavily juiced. Again, you're looking at, what is he, a 275 favorite, Fluffy? Just take him by decision. I think Sean is going to do classic, what he always does. Just play Boston style, in your face, and take some jabs and just eat it up. But Hernandez, man, that guy's a freak. He's on a heater, and I think he wins this one. So give me Hernandez plus 145 by decision. I absolutely love that. Aulino, I'm not going to butcher this guy's name, but he's facing Spizak, whatever. He's facing him, Delija. I'm taking him on the money line. I think he's the much better fighter. He's younger. He's got more power. Give me him to beat him. I think this one's a no-brainer. I think it should be at like a minus 200, but the books are being generous here. I really like this value here. And my fourth and final play, you got to just go with it. You got to go with it here. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. It's for tomorrow's game. I don't know if you're counting it, Nick, but give me Canada plus 1.5 at plus 135. Listen, the States are great. They beat us 5-0. We got Marie-Philippe Poulin. We got the greatest Canadian women's player of all time. You're telling me, you're giving me plus money for them to lose by, like, they got to lose by more than 2 goals. And in a gold medal game, they're usually not blowouts. They're usually by 1. I think there's no way that the States blow them out again. So that's my final play here. Is USA. Canada plus 1.5. And again, you know what? So for the plays, I actually took Man City, but I already have that for last week. So that's why I had to switch it. So if you put that in a parlay, that's plus 1,200. You're
Wow.
welcome.
Not too shabby. Definitely say it again. I said it for Lino's picks. I'll say it for Chris's picks. And I'll probably say them for mine too. Bringing value, bringing variety. You can't go wrong with any of these picks. Sure, okay, they might not come in, but at the end of the day, when you're getting variety and value at the same time, it's kind of hard to pass up in a market that's pretty saturated with guys that just want to give you crazy long shots and hope for the best. Now it's time.
I got one last thing to add to that. Never disrespect Canada ever in hockey. Never do that. So that's why I took it too. There's no way.
Not wrong, not wrong. I think I had an okay week last week. I took Milan on the money line against Pisa. I'm pretty sure that did come in. I also took Dortmund on the money line against Mainz. I can't recall if that cashed or not. Dylan Larkin did not get a goal against Latvia, and Brandon Hagel did not get a goal against Czechia either. So besides the soccer, the hockey did not come in. But now we're going to talk about this week's picks, where we got a little bit of variety. But like I said, we're sticking with some footy and some hockey as well. So starting off, we're going to start with our favorite of the week. I'm taking Team Canada men's on the money line against Finland at minus 490. It's hard to not want to pick your team, especially in a big game like that after coming over some adversity today. And then moving on, we're going to go with our smallest dog. Although they've had some absolute horrendous form as of late, it's hard to not pick my team in this certain matchup. I'm going with Juventus on the money line at plus 105 against Como. They're due to bounce back after some of these horrible results, especially from getting robbed against Inter, losing to Galatasaray the way they did, and they're due for a bounce back against a team like Como. It's a pick 'em, but Juve at plus money, you can't pass that up. Then we're sticking with Calcio. We're going to a Juve rival, but nonetheless, another pick 'em with good odds. I'm going with Lazio on the money line against Cagliari at plus 140. Very rare do you get the teams like Juve and Lazio at plus money in these certain situations. So once again, I'm going to take Lazio at plus 140. And now, last but not least, we're going to go to the women's gold medal game. And like Chris alluded to, you never disrespect Team Canada when it comes to hockey, and you don't disrespect the greatest women's player of all time. I'm going with Marie-Philippe Poulin, anytime goal scorer in the Canada and USA gold medal game at plus 270.
That's crazy odds.
Whenever it's been great, whenever it's been the big moments, she always shows up and she always shines. Whether she's hurt or not, she always finds a way to contribute. And I like her odds of scoring. And I really do think Canada's going to pull it out and get a gold medal tomorrow against the U.S. You put these four legs together in a parlay on FanDuel, you're looking at plus 2091. Guys, like I said, variety and value, hard to come by and also hard to capitalize on. We always try to give you guys the best, whether it's our picks, our takes, even though a lot of our takes can sometimes be really hot and hard to digest. We always want to make sure we got something for you guys. Needless to say, guys, the Olympics are coming to an end. It's crazy to say that because it feels like they just started yesterday. We got the men's semifinal on Friday, the women's gold medal tomorrow. Are you guys excited that it's getting to its conclusion, or are you guys a little surprised that it's come and gone already this quick?
Yeah, like international hockey, it's good.
I'm sad.
The best on best, man. It's like all the analysts have said. We've waited 12 years, and the 12 years have come, and it's already feel like it has come and it is gone, even though it's not done yet. But man, it's getting really close, and it's something else, man. It's another kind of, I don't want to say it's a high, but in a lot of ways, it kind of is. It's another kind of high watching this kind of hockey, and it's something that I think I've realized how much we've missed it. Like, sure, the Four Nations was a little bit of a taste, but we all know the Olympics is the much bigger deal. So I'm excited, but I'm also a little sad that it's kind of coming to an end. Man, oh man. Nonetheless, guys, we want to thank you guys if you listened all the way to the very end of this episode. We want to make sure you guys are following us on all of our platforms so you can keep up with all the latest picks, the latest shows, and even what we're talking about for certain episodes. So make sure you guys are following us on X, on Facebook, on Instagram. Check us out on Spotify, YouTube, and as well as anywhere else you guys get your podcasts, whether that's Apple, whether that's SoundCloud, and all the other options. Until next week, guys. Peace.